Welcome to Ask the Expert North Texas here on News Radio 1080 KRLD. I'm David Rancken.
And I'm Kristin Diaz. And this afternoon, we have Ms. Rena Honea. She is the president of the Texas American Federation of Teachers. And this month is Teacher Appreciation Month. And Rena, we wanted to reach out to you because, you know, the word appreciation is such a heavy of a word in this day and age because our teachers have gone through so much. They've been the headline. Our schools have been the headline. Our students have been the headline for 3 years now as we've been traveling through the pandemic. Kids have had to do virtual school. The teachers are at the last minute having to change their game plan, having to adjust. And so to appreciate our teachers, I mean, it just goes without saying that we absolutely do, but we need to know how to show that because we need to make sure that our teachers do feel it. What does teacher appreciation look like or sound like or feel like to you?
Considering the last 3 years, like you said, and talking with teachers in Dallas ISD, and by the way, I'm the Dallas Alliance-AFT president, not Texas. So because we do have a fabulous Texas AFT president, Mr. Zev Capo. But as a former teacher, and I'll always have teaching in my blood, appreciation means that you know that people are thankful for your efforts, for what you do. They find small ways and large ways, big ways to let you know that. And it's just that feeling of gratitude that you're doing your job, you're doing it well, and people notice.
During the last 3 years, this might sound like a strange question. Did the last 3 years actually help teachers in some ways, just with the fact that people realize now what it is like for teachers and how much more that we can and should appreciate them?
I think that it did help in the very beginning, but now it has gotten to the fact they've forgotten that because we're back to doing more and more and more without the resources to do it, sometimes without the support needed to do it. And sometimes people just forget we're still in a pandemic. We are still dealing with those things, but it's like, oh, it's all right now, just go back. And that's not the way reality is.
This is an industry where less and less people are getting into it. And those that are in it are not always floating their boat. They're struggling. Might be compensation, like you said, resources. How do we support our teachers in those ways?
I truly believe that the school district, for educators, they have to be compensated for the work they're being required to do. And Texas is low on the totem pole when it comes to that. Dallas likes to tout that they are one of the top paying districts. And yes, they do offer a beginning salary that is very attractive to new people. But in actuality, it is not commensurate to the attacks that have taken place on our educators. The outside non-educators that are dictating what happens in our classrooms with our teachers for profit. These are not educators. They don't know child development, what is appropriate, how things should be done. They are dictating to our legislators that are listening because they've got lots of money to contribute to those campaigns. The very last people that are heard are the ones that are actually doing the work, if they're heard at all. So we have to make our voices heard and let them know exactly what is needed.
Is what's needed something such as merit type pay for great teachers to earn more by doing well in whatever standards are set by the state?
History shows that pay for performance evaluations have never been effective, and they're not now. Education should be a collaborative effort between the teachers, the administration, the campus people. It should be collaborative. And now what has been created is they pit people against each other. And unfortunately, the ones that suffer the most from that are our students. And when you try to privatize something that is a right to every student in the United States, but especially in Texas through our Constitution, they are taking away the quality that could be and should be presented because of testing that is a for-profit billion business. It's taken away by mandates that are not funded, that require additional time. What we're seeing more and more is that educators are being asked to do stuff for free on their own time, which takes away from their families, their own health, their own well-being to do this job. And you do not see in any other profession anyone else being allowed to enter that profession without the proper education and credentials. You're only seeing that in education.
It's so interesting, right? When you say giving that extra time, teachers who love to teach will put their entire life on the line for their kids. They will make sure that everything that their kids need will be provided for, whether that's from the parents that help out or not, or the school district that helps out or not. The teacher will find a way to give of their own to make sure that their kids are provided for. Let's talk about the students there for a second. If the teachers are, struggling to do their job every day and efficiently and effectively, our students do suffer. How important is it for our students that our teachers are appreciated in the fact that, look, it's education, it's support from the community as well. What can the community do to help our teachers?
I think it's extremely important that especially parents and grandparents, aunts, uncles that are raising our children today for whatever reason, that they could show their appreciation by having the students ready to learn, have a breakfast in the morning. Now the schools provide breakfast, get them there on time, help them by engaging with them, talk about what they've done at school, tell me what you did. How can we use this at our house? To show up on time, to do the things that they do, have a set time in the afternoon for homework or review. It doesn't have to be a long time, but just to keep the student engaged or the child engaged, and have, if there are multiple children in the home, have them all involved with that. Have a time where they understand education is important. That would be a great way to say thank you for the time you put in, the effort you're doing for me to support that in this way at home.
How long does it take for a family to set up a habit of doing that, of realizing that education doesn't stop once the bell rings and your kids get to go home, that education can continue at home during the rest of the waking hours?
I think you'll find that most people say when you do something continuously or consistently for 7 times, it becomes pretty much a part of the habit, the routine. And so for learning, there needs to be a time from the very beginning of school that says, you've been at school today, I get it, let's finish it here, do our part here, then you can have the extra time. With the way that our family structure is these days, our families don't always have the opportunity to do that. But if you've got an older student in the home, an older child, someone that is living that could just continue that structure in some way, it would be so appreciated and really advantageous to each child.
Absolutely. It's also Hispanic Heritage Month. We have a lot of Latinos here in Texas. How important is it that that Hispanic students are seeing, Hispanic administrators, principals, teachers, teacher aides when they come to school?
I think it's highly important, just as it is for every child. Every Black student needs to see people in authority, administrators, teachers, superintendents, all of that. They need to be able to identify, well, I look like them. I could achieve that. I can see that. And each culture brings such richness that we all need to be educated on all of them, not just one or two, but there are so many. Dallas is such a diverse city, and the richness and the fullness that we could learn from each other, if we would just be willing to do that, would be absolutely incredible. And I think the benefits we would see would be amazing.
Is it tough to recruit Hispanic teachers to come into the Dallas School District as opposed to other districts? What is the recruiting process like?
First of all, we would want them to have, the credentials to be able to do that. It's difficult, I should say, to recruit anyone into education right now. Now, for our Spanish speakers or other languages, mainly Spanish, there is a stipend for our bilingual teachers that's very attractive. And it is a continual stipend. It's not just a sign-on bonus. So that is very helpful, and it does help. But when you look at the attacks, the way that our pay structure through the state and through the district is doing, when people are being required to give more and more of their own time and not be able to, for the district or the state to follow their own laws, to give adequate time and preparation to the employees, it makes it very difficult. When they can go to another entity making twice the money, have their free time, have their family time, and they see that. And even though educators love what they do, they are tired of their health, their families, their own well-being being taken for granted, number one, and then by not being recognized by giving them what they need to do their job even better.
In underserved Black and Brown communities across Texas, are the educational standards and the school standards, whether it be the actual, buildings that you're coming into, what can we improve on there?
I think we have to understand that there needs to be an equity where those things are lacking. We need to put those resources in there. And the old adage that the squeakiest wheel gets the most oil. Our people that need things, they need to come together and make that known and not accept less. It's important that we show everyone these kids are important. These are our future leaders. They're going to make decisions for us as we grow older. We want them to do well. We need them to do well. But if there are such inequities that hinder that learning, that involvement, we've got to recognize that and say, let's get together, let's make this better. Conversations are great because you have to have plans, but we need feet to the action.
Is there still a perception among parents and Texans that teaching is an easy career because you get 3 months off where you don't have to work?
That used to be the sentiment. If anyone knows an educator today, they know that isn't the truth. Summer school, people can choose to be a part of summer school continue through the summer or a few of the summer months. Professional development is offered during the summer. And if you don't take it, you're kind of behind when you start school. There are so many things that are provided and teachers take advantage of all year long. They are exhausted by the time September, October, November is here because of all the requirements. But no, they don't get 3 months unless they choose to take it. They're in a position they can afford to do that. But even at that, there are things that come in during the summer that teachers do that take their time.
As this will be my last question, as we again focus on Teacher Appreciation Month, is there anything in the works right now in the legislature to support teachers during this time of struggle coming back from the pandemic?
Well, I know that our organization, Texas AFT, we are putting some things forward, working with legislators, the pay scale. Teachers need a defined workday. They have a minimum workday, but they need a defined workday. We have some administrators that have teachers at school till 6:30. For those that have children in daycare or have elderly parents they're taking care of, that's not good. But we've worked with the district, and there are guidelines that need to be followed that say that they can stay up to 90 minutes a week in addition after school has ended. But it's a struggle because there is a lot to be done. But we are working, trying to make sure that that happens. Raising the compensation at the state level would be something that would be greatly appreciated. It's an election year. You hear people saying in office they've done more for education. It's not seen in the various districts. They can say it all they want to, but it's not actually true in our opinion.
You talk about a minimum pay scale that's available now. What should it be?
Well, I'll tell you, right now in Texas educators make $7,500 less per year than the national average. That is a lot. And once the minimum is set at the state level, then the districts can augment that, or they can leave it exactly the same. But it all depends on the revenue they have and how they distribute and use that revenue. In my opinion, there is nothing more important than the actual people that are in front of students to carry out the programs, the instruction, everything. If you take great care of them, treat them well, pay them well, you're going to get everything plus what you intend to receive. And so it's got to be a collaborative effort, a teamwork again. We would love to see more parents at school board meetings, making presentations, being involved in the campuses whenever you can in good, positive ways. Those are ways that teachers feel that they're making an impact because it has created an interest in the education of their child and what's taking place, and they feel supported. And that speaks volumes.
That's Rena Honea with the Dallas chapter of the American Federation of Teachers. Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon. Love visiting with you guys.
Absolutely. Ending the
pleasure.
recording right there. And yes, lovely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I don't know when we're airing this yet, but we will have it on the website after it airs. So
Cool.
in the next couple of days.
All right. Great.
I had one. This is totally after the recording, and I was just thinking about this as we were talking about Hispanic Heritage Month and everything. Would there ever be a time where for Spanish speaking kids there's a mandatory English class, and for English speaking kids mandatory Spanish classes? Would that ever work?
I don't know that it would work because I think that you would get pushback. if you have to learn Spanish, what about the Chinese kids? Why don't you have to learn that?
Or maybe
What
just
about the Vietnamese?
mandatory foreign language. Yeah.
All right. So what we're doing, and personally, I think sign language should be considered a
Me
foreign
too.
language.
Yeah.
Okay. We do have in Dallas, there are high school courses, one for Hispanic history or Hispanic, I don't know the exact name, one for African American that can be taken as electives. And so they're making it more and more, available in the elementary grades. Excuse me. In the elementary grades, the bilingual classes, for sure, they learn in their native language, but then they transition into the English. And so it is becoming more and more prevalent, and more they're hearing about it more because more and more people want it. But to mandate it, I'm not sure that that would be the best way to do it right now. That means more education for the ones that are going to do it.
Teach it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know in I'm Finnish. My family's all in Finland, but in their schools, they are mandated. They've got to learn Finnish and Swedish and English in school. So
wow.
every child comes out of school with at least those three.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it would be a great opportunity. I know right now in Dallas, there's the opportunity for Spanish, French, Italian, Chinese in some of the schools. And I'm not sure what the others are, but they are making it available, but it's not mandatory. They are electives.
Mm-hmm. So interesting.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you all.